Hey guys, Jaeky here. Today I'm going to be reviewing two different mouse pads from Wallhack. I'm going to be reviewing their glass pad, the SP-004, as well as their cloth control pad, the SY-001. Huge shout out to Wallhack for sending these out for review, but as always, that doesn't affect my opinion of them. I do have an affiliate code that you can use with them. If you enter code Jaeky at checkout, you can get a 10% discount off of your order. This video is not sponsored, but I do get a kickback if you do use the code, just to be completely transparent. So I'm actually pretty excited for this review because I've never tried a glass mousepad before. I just always assumed that I wouldn't like it just because I prefer control pads and I'm not really a fan of really fast pads. If you remember my review of the Artisan Heian, I feel like I just had no control using the Heian playing attack shooters like Valorant. So their glass pad is retailing for $167 Canadian, which is around $121 USD. You can choose between a black and white version, and they also sometimes have limited edition designs as well that you can pick up. Going over the packaging for both of the cloth pad and the glass pad are very nice. They both come flat shipped. Obviously the glass pad has to come flat shipped, but the cloth pad as well comes in a flat box, so there's no need to wait for it to unroll on your table. The box for the glass pad was really nice and it had a lot of padding to make sure that the glass pad didn't get damaged during shipping. And here is the glass pad itself. It's actually pretty heavy. It has a lot of weight to it. And on the bottom is a silicone base, so it's really not going to have any issues sticking on your desk, just because that weight combined with that silicone base is really going to give it a lot of stick onto your table. As for the design, it's really clean and elegant. It's literally just a glass surface, and on the under it is just a black finish with their logo in the bottom right corner. The measurements here of the mouse pad are 43 by 49 centimeters, and it is 0.4 centimeters thick. Wallhack also sent me an arm sleeve to go along with this. I got the repeat small/medium arm sleeve, and an arm sleeve is pretty essential when you're using a glass pad, because if you're not using an arm sleeve, your arm will end up sticking. So if you are planning on getting a glass mouse pad, I highly recommend that you do pick up a arm sleeve because you will need it. If you don't pick up an arm sleeve, you can use just a long sleeve shirt. But obviously, if you are playing with a t-shirt on, then you will need to put on an arm sleeve. And that's another reason why I was never really interested in glass mouse pads, just because I didn't feel like putting on an arm sleeve every time I played the game. But either way, this is what the sleeve looks like right here. You can choose between this classic version as well as a version with a glove on the end that actually goes and covers half of your hand. So there's a glove version and then there's just this classic version here. And the classic sleeve here will run you $27 Canadian. Wallhack also sent me out the Obsidian Pro mouse skates. I'm not going to be putting on these mouse skates onto my Viper V3 Pro just because I like the stock skates on my Viper V3, so I'm just going to continue using these. And I like the control glide that the Viper V3 Pro skates give. I feel like the Obsidian Pro skates might be a little bit too fast. These skates are in collaboration with X-Ray Pad, so if you do want to pick these up, these will run you $17 Canadian. But yeah, these skates are pretty much small little circles, which results in less surface area, meaning that it will give your mouse more of a faster glide since there's less surface area in contact with your mouse pad. So if you're looking for low friction skates, these are definitely worth checking out. In the box of the glass mouse pad as well, they also provide you with a microfiber cloth. This is a decently sized microfiber cloth that you can use to wipe down the glass mouse pad to keep it clean. Alright guys, now let's get the glass pad on the table here. This is my good old Artisan Zero Soft, and I'm going to be taking this off the table and putting the glass pad on. Alright guys, here's the glass pad on the table. Let's put the mouse on here. First impressions are it's definitely very smooth. You pretty much have little to no friction, which is to be expected from a glass pad. It's not like insanely, like there's still a little bit of texture on the pad here. It's not like smooth glass that you would get from like maybe like a typical window. There is still a little bit of texture there, and I presume that's mainly just so that the mouse sensor tracks properly on the glass surface. So yeah, definitely a very smooth feeling material, but you can kind of see here already that without the sleeve on, my forearm does stick to the glass. So without a sleeve, this would be pretty hard to use just because my forearm would literally be stuck here onto the glass. So like I mentioned earlier, a sleeve is pretty mandatory. So let me put the sleeve on right now. Okay, so here's the sleeve, and I want to make sure it goes over like the bottom part of my hand here because that does touch the mouse pad. But yeah, with the sleeve, it's a lot better. My arm isn't sticking to the pad anymore, and it's definitely a very interesting feeling here. One thing that is nice about glass mouse pads is that the surface isn't really going to wear down. So if you do decide to use a glass mouse pad, you don't have to worry about any slowdowns on the surface like that. like you would with a traditional cloth mousepad. And also glass mousepads are just really easy to clean. Like you could literally just take a microfiber cloth, wet it a little bit, wipe this glass pad down, and it's pretty much like brand new. But I'm curious to see how this actually plays in game. So let's boot up Valorant here, load into a DM, and get a feeling for the pad here. But yeah, like I said, I'm not like a glass pad hater or anything. I definitely understand that there's people who like this experience, especially if maybe you play track heavy games such as Apex Legends or something like that. Something that's a little bit more fast paced, you might actually prefer this frictionless feeling that you get from a glass pad. But for me personally, especially the fact that I have to put on an arm sleeve every time to play, I'm not really the biggest fan of it. But let's actually see how this performs in a deathmatch here. Wow. Honestly, this isn't that bad. I could definitely probably get used to this. The only thing is, it is annoying a little bit that my fingers, I like to touch some of my fingers to the mousepad sometimes, like my thumb and my pinky finger do sometimes make contact with the pad. And since this is a glass pad, the fact that my fingers are touching it kind of makes it stick onto the pad a little bit. Sort of like how my forearm was sticking. That's sort of happening with my fingers here. So it kind of leads me to change up my grip style a little bit. But it's actually not as uncontrollable as I thought it would be. Like I definitely feel like I still have a lot of control of my mouse. But it is like noticeably smoother than a traditional like cloth mousepad. It's definitely a unique experience for sure.
That's 3. 4 down.
But yeah, you can see I'm not really having trouble
Dominating.
aiming on it really.
Dominating. Oh, wait. Back off.
I can definitely still aim on this pad.
That's 3. 4 down.
Really, the only thing stopping me from using it is the fact that I do have to wear a sleeve every time I play with a glass pad. And also the fact that with my grip style, sometimes my fingers make contact with the pad. That kind of like, and they do kind of like stick to the pad. You know, if you don't mind wearing a sleeve every time you play, and your grip style is one where your fingers don't touch the pad, then I can definitely see how you might actually like using a glass mouse pad.
Bye-bye. Smart move.
And if you do like using a glass mouse pad, the Wallhack one is really nice quality. So it really just does come down to personal preference here. So yeah, honestly, the SP-004 is a very high quality glass mouse pad. So if you are a fan of glass mouse pads, this is definitely a solid choice right here. Okay, but now let's move on to the pad that I'm the most excited about, which is their cloth control pad, the SY-001. This is retailing for $71 Canadian, which is around $52 USD. The measurements on the SY-001 is 49 by 43 centimeters. It's slightly taller than an Artisan XL, but the width and the thickness are exactly the same as an Artisan mousepad. The base here is Japanese Poron and it sticks very well to the table. Really no movement whatsoever once you have this put on your desk. And like I said, it does come flat shipped, so you don't have to wait for it to unroll. This mouse pad is not coated, which means you do get the most consistency. And the feeling of the pad here is actually very nice. When compared to my Artisan Zero Soft, the surface of the pad actually feels a lot smoother. It doesn't feel as textured as my Artisan Zero, but in terms of speed and glide, it actually feels very similar to my Artisan Zero. So it's still considered a control pad, but it's definitely not a really slow mud pad. When compared to something like a Zowie GSR2, it's a lot faster. So if you've ever used an Artisan Zero, you're pretty much going to be expecting that sort of speed and glide. So faster than your typical mud control pads, but definitely not a speed pad. So let me boot up Valorant and we can try this mouse pad out in a deathmatch.
Warm up.
So far this pad feels very, very nice. Very similar experience to my Artisan Zero with just a smoother surface.
Adios. To disappoint. 3 souls.
Dominating.
Finished. Finished. Pathetic. 3 souls. 4 dead.
Dominating.
Yeah, guys, overall, a really nice pad here. Definitely endgame material. The quality is really nice as well. You can see here the stitching is below surface, and that's always nice to see on a pad just because it reduces forearm irritation when you do go over the stitching. So it's always nice to see when a mouse pad has below surface stitching. But yeah, guys, overall, really solid products from Wallhack here. All of them are really high quality, and you really can't go wrong with either their glass pad or their cloth pad, just depending on what you prefer. If you already know that you are a fan of glass pads, you don't mind using an arm sleeve as well, then I would highly recommend the Wallhack glass pad. Overall, just really high quality products. Again, if you are purchasing any products from Wallhack and you want that 10% discount, you can use my code Jaeky, and it will help support the channel a little bit as well. But that's pretty much it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.